One of the best examples of that vicious cycle that we see clinically is fibromyalgia. So in my model of fibromyalgia, and this image comes from a recent publication of mine in 2015, what I propose here is that the best single model of fibromyalgia is that it starts with gastrointestinal dysbiosis, specifically small intestine bacterial overgrowth. That's been documented in these patients very conclusively, and this of course is also why these patients respond, at least temporarily, to antibiotic therapy. Now, why would they respond temporarily? That's because antibiotic therapy for SIBO only works temporarily, and pretty much everybody knows that. So the fact that it's only a temporary cure doesn't negate the fact that it's important. It actually reinforces the model because that's consistent with what we know about dysbiosis and SIBO. When patients are treated only with short-term antibiotics, they get a temporary remission followed by return or exacerbation, and that's exactly what we see in these patients. That doesn't negate the dysbiosis model or the fact that they have small intestine bacterial overgrowth. That's just a characteristic of the disease. It cannot be treated solely with short-term antibiotics. What we see in fibromyalgia patients very consistently and well proven is the fact that they have mitochondrial impairment and, for example, CoQ10 deficiency. In my model, the dysbiosis is what's causing the mitochondrial impairment. The mitochondrial impairment leads to activation of the NLRP3 inflammasome. The NLRP3 inflammasome matures or processes active forms of cytokines, and those cytokines contribute to the neuroinflammation that we see. Neuroinflammation begins with microglial or microglial activation, leading to astrocyte activation, leading to increased glutaminergic neurotransmission, leading to neuroinflammation, or more generally, brain inflammation. And this has clinical consequences, including anxiety, depression, and increased perception of persistent pain. Validation of this model comes from published clinical trials showing that antibiotic therapy alleviates fibromyalgia, and that the use of nutrients to support mitochondrial function, specifically coenzyme Q10 at 300 milligrams per day, also alleviates fibromyalgia, pain, depression, and fatigue. A very important clinical trial was published by Mario Cordero's group in Spain, showing that 300 milligrams per day of CoQ10 could improve mitochondrial function and reduce activity of the NLRP3 inflammasome, which is creating these active cytokines which cause neuroinflammation, specifically interleukin 1b. So by using CoQ10 therapy in patients with fibromyalgia, basically they were proving the importance of mitochondrial impairment on the clinical symptomatology of this condition. They were establishing and validating the importance of mitochondrial impairment in those patients, and subsequently, and very specifically, the role of the NLRP3 inflammasome in inducing and perpetuating these symptoms that derive from neuroinflammation. The NLRP3 inflammasome is activated by microbial inflammagens, and it's also activated by debris from mitochondria, especially mitochondrial DNA. So I think the best evidence shows that we need to eliminate the gastrointestinal dysbiosis and we need to improve mitochondrial function in order to relieve the neuroinflammation that leads to the anxiety, depression, and chronic pain and fatigue that these patients experience. On this page, I'm going to show you more details about the NMDA glutamate receptor, and we're going to use this model to consolidate what I've already talked about, and we're also going to use this model to advance to the next subtopic, and that is altered tryptophan metabolism.